to Soul Focus Interview Show, and tonight I've got my very special guest, Jesse James. How are you tonight, mate?
Yeah, and I'm going well, thanks, Brooke. Yeah, and yourself?
That's awesome. Yeah, good. Had a lovely day. That one of those days that you have that you sort of you're getting a fair bit of work done, but you just sort of still feel like you're slacking it. I don't know, probably too many coffee breaks. That's the joy of working for yourself.
Yeah.
Wait, look, having a coffee break now.
Yep, nice.
Well, tell us about yourself, Jesse. What is it that you do?
Well, I work as a transdimensional energy healer and worker. And so what that means is that I work with energy that is not just from the earthly dimension, which has multiple dimensions in itself, but also beyond that, beyond the energetic realm as well, and into different time-space continuums and accessing the energy and the beings from there to support with the healing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, so how did you get into spirituality?
Well, that's, I think it's an evolving process over my life, I guess. Like I was thinking about this before today's meeting with you today. Like I think as a child, like I could tap in a little bit with the elemental world, which is kind of like, the fairies and bushes and, just the beautiful energy of the earth. And then, it was probably in my teens after my father had passed away that I felt him talking to me, and I was able to sort of communicate with him a little bit. And then I think probably in my mid-20s, I started really getting into seeing spiritual healers and starting to understand my own spirituality and my own connection to source. So, yeah. And then from there it grew.
So when you were a kid, we started seeing fairies and elementals. Can you explain to us what you were seeing at that age?
Yeah, well, it was pretty, like, looking back, I mean, I didn't really know it at the time because you're just seeing like this world, but it's pretty magical. Like it's also like the feeling of the beings there, feeling connected to, I mean, fairies is a term, I didn't really give them any other terms, but little imps, but, just beautiful little beings that were living around the bushes.
Yeah.
And so I could sit by my window and just look out and see the magic within the energy within their environment there. It was just, really cool. I think I grew out of that a little bit, to be honest. Like I kind of lost touch with that.
Yep.
But then, I'm back in touch with that again.
So when you were seeing their energy, were you just seeing that as like an auric field, or?
It's kind of more like, I mean, I'm going to see that a little bit, but it's also just the, you know how if you see sort of like something moving somewhere, but you can't really change its form very easily. Yep. Sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. So it's just this movement that is kind of like a warp of the plant or the whatever's behind it, because there's a being moving through it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So it's kind of that. Yeah.
So what age were you around when you stopped seeing that to start with, or have you always seen it?
Yeah, I think it was probably around when I was maybe 9 or 10 that I feel like I started to be in contact with that. And whether that's just, the constructs of the earth and, moving into the cognitive world that we get pushed into a little bit, like through school and stuff like that. I think that's when I started losing that connection so richly with that world. Yeah.
Now, you had some more experiences when you got into your teen years and you started diving back into spirituality, didn't you? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that was more in regards to connecting with my dad. And so that happened through dreams. Also that I would just hear him talking to me. So it was just sort of spontaneously out of the blue, like I would just hear him say something, and it was just like I didn't feel like I could connect with him in the sense that I could feel him more, his presence more deeply, but I could just feel and sense that he was there, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And just the different things that he would say to me that, yeah, I recognized as him. Yeah.
Okay. So he was just giving you guidance or helping you out, sticky situations?
Yeah, kind of support and saying that he could see me. Like, I mean, after he died, I had quite a challenging patch of life, and it was very difficult, and it was quite traumatic, experiencing his death, I guess. So just the challenges of that, I would just feel his support, and I could feel him behind me. So he would be, saying something, and I could feel his voice traveling to me, kind of thing. It's hard to explain, but yeah. So it's more sort of him just being there as the voice, and like I'm here, like you're doing well. Everything's okay, that kind of thing. So just that support. Yeah.
Did that experience lead you further on into spirituality, or was that was just all support at that time in your life?
Yeah, that was probably, for about a year or so that I had that contact with him in that way. And then from there, full disclosure, started moving into drinking and stuff like that, and kind of lost contact with that part of me a little bit because I was kind of getting involved in other aspects of life, I guess. So I think that probably took me down another path of spiritual growth back that needed to be kind of in amongst it all to experience that part of life.
So what led you into now you're doing transdimensional energy healing and work like that? Sort of what led you to? How did you get to that point?
Yeah, so I guess that was sort of like an evolution over, probably about 15 years or more, and seeing different spiritual healers. I also did like somatic psychotherapy, like I had a therapist who did somatic work, and I started to tune to my body, started to tune into my own energy, started to get to really know it, get to really understand what my body was telling me, feeding the energy through my body. And then from there, I did a couple of different like basic spiritual courses, I guess, of connecting with God. And then a couple of years ago, I did a theta healing course. And I think that really just through the clearings and stuff through that course and learning some extra tools as well, that just supercharged my spiritual growth. There's a few other things that happened on the way that took me into this path of being able to find a space to actually offer this to others. But
yeah. How much help was getting as you started getting into spirituality and growing? How much help was all that work getting that work done?
I think that that was a big part of everything for me, because it was kind of a step process, and it was like the way that I kind of see some of my spiritual experience was almost like the experience of moving through many lifetimes. Like there's times that we feel really connected as beings in our lifetimes, and there's times where we go through really dark, dismal, horrific and traumatic paths. And so that was part of my process, and I think even going through that helped me to clear some of the past life traumas that resembled what I was living with in this lifetime. And then as I started moving out of that and being more like expanding more, I think that brings a lot more spiritual growth and human growth and shifting energy and things like that. So definitely a huge part of it is the journey.
So we tend to carry a lot of baggage in from past lifetimes into this lifetime. or is that just
I
all
think so.
lifetimes?
Probably all lifetimes, but yeah, I think I wonder if this lifetime, I don't know, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and other people's thoughts. So I sort of feel like as like this lifetime for a lot of us and a lot of people is to really consolidate a lot of the lifetimes that we've had, and to almost accelerate into, you know, a different way of being, I don't know, higher vibrational and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it sounds about right to me. I mean, we're here
Yeah.
to, obviously, it seems to be like it's crunch time on the planet at the moment. It almost feels like we're here to flip a planet at the moment.
Yes.
You know, so very exciting times. Everything's going going nuts. But that's the exciting part.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
you know, I mean, if you're going through this spiritual walk like 30, 40 years ago, or 80 years ago, it'd be like, oh, right, World War, whatever. Like, what are you doing?
Yes.
It just seems like we're just on the verge. We're really on the verge of change at the moment, like serious change. It's like it's going to go one way or the other. So we better put on our manifesting shoes and get to work.
Yeah. Get onto it.
So you were talking before about past life energies and past life healing and the differences between that.
Yeah. Well, like the way that I kind of see like past life energy is not necessarily direct past life experiences. Like it's kind of like we pick up the collective energy, we pick up also ancestral energy, we pick up all sorts of aspects. So it's like whatever we see within our energy experience, like if you do any past life healing, can be a direct life that's experienced, and it also could be the energy of a life like that. You know, like as an example, I find, you know, probably most of the people that I see, or a lot of them, have stuff around their neck. And, you know, I mean, there's probably lots of lifetimes that we've had neck injuries or been, you know, killed through neck injuries. I also think there's a collective energy around the neck, and the neck being a place that is vulnerable. You know, like there's lots of structures within the neck that are vulnerable. So that's part of the energy that gets cleared, not just the direct past life of being captured like that. If that makes sense.
So what sort of stuff have you come across, like through past lives that's affected people in that area that you've had to work with?
Yeah, lots of things. And the past lives are not necessarily just on the earthly dimensions. Like they're also intergalactic and interdimensional. In the earthly dimensions, they're kind of, I mean, there's lots around the Victorian era, not surprisingly. There was a lot of horrific stuff that happened there. I find some of the lifetimes I think are amazing, like, you know, people who have lived underwater and things like that, not just symbolic of Atlantis, but that's like just different beings. They could even be animal lives, but they're not really, they're just different being lives that live underwater. What else could come to mind? There's lots of beautiful lives of love lost, or just things that have happened that have been, created relationship and difficulties. So much.
So there are a lot of. Well, I never really actually thought about it. You said, we always sort of think of the past lives as the human experience, and we know that we've had past lives on other planets. But when you get into like past lives in other dimensions, I never really gave it a ton of thought. And that's pretty fascinating, because I mean, as you say, like with the fairies and other elementals, you know, they're all simultaneously existing on, you know, in other dimensions, and we and you know, as you were saying, as you're a kid, you start to, you know, when the veil starts to open, you start to see a lot of these things.
Yes. I think like the elemental world happens through the earthly dimension, like because there's multiple dimensions within the earth domain, and the transdimensional dimensions, they happen much further afield, if that makes sense. And the beings that come interdimensionally, they're quite powerful because they've made it this far, if that makes sense. But I think I agree, like in the sense that I didn't know that the transdimensional world was a thing. Like it was only really through, as my consciousness was opening, that that's what they started showing me. And I was like, I can't make sense of these things. What are they? And then it's kind of like, you know, then that's what they get termed for me to.
Can you? Them. So, what is the transdimensional world? Exactly.
Yeah. So it's difficult to explain. That's something that I'm starting to work on, to try and even nutshell it a bit, and to even, like, I'm hoping at some point that they'll channel it through me to like even describe some of these worlds and these beings. But when I see them, you know, they like, it's a knowing. They have like a whole different auric field. They're different colors. They have this different strength and power within. They have these different capabilities. When I access them, I've been within these worlds, and worlds themselves are like, there's similarities, but they're very different, and there's a different concept underpinning the transdimensional worlds I'm finding. Like here within the earth planes and the planes of existence within the earth dimension is around love. Like that's part of the basis of it. Transdimensionally, it's something different, and I'm trying to put my finger on it, and I haven't yet. So
okay, so a different energy.
Work in progress.
Otherwise, we just gave it the wrong reference name, but we do that a lot, don't we, down here?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
I got a question from one of the viewers.
Okay.
Put it up there for you. Could this be the time to acknowledge the driver has had what is known as past lives? Have you looked into the driver of the vehicles?
Depends the driver.
So
did I say maybe I said something about vehicles? I'm not sure.
Oh, I guess is that talking about some people? I guess is that splitting hairs, or well,
yeah.
You know, the whole argument of have we actually had those past lives, or are we just tapping into that stream of consciousness that has? Well, either way, we need healing, don't we?
Yes, I agree that either way we need healing. But I do think about that myself sometimes, like, you know, where our lives coming from? Are they ours, or is it just the consciousness? And yeah, I was going to say something about that, but I've lost it. So if that comes back to me, I'll say it. All right, that's what I was going to say, is that this is, I mean, I think that, you know, we all have our own experiences with these things, and this is my interpretation of my experiences, if you know what I mean. So it might not be the same for others. So yeah, but that's how I understand it and what I'm guided.
That's
and what
okay.
I see. Yeah.
I don't mind if you offend them. It keeps them on their toes.
Okay. Yeah.
Say whatever you feel. So what sort of, so when you do the transdimensional work, so how would you go about that if someone came to you for healing? How would you go about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, healing sessions are like, I'm guided through the whole process, and you know, that's even from as soon as someone messages me, like I'm guided by what to respond. If there are any messages that they want to send straight away, then I'm guided to write that. I don't know how it's always received, but usually it's received okay. But anyway, then when they come in for a session, I'll tune into their energy. If there's something specific that they would like to address or look at, then we'll look at that specifically. Or if they would like a general sort of look at what's happening and just whatever comes up for healing and transforming, then we'll do that. And so I just tune into their energy, notice what I see, and then dive into what it is that I see. So if there's any blocks anywhere, if there's any cords, if there's any past lives starting to show themselves, if they're drawing me more into that, if they're drawing me along an ancestral line, if they're drawing me to anything really, then I'll start investigating where it is from, what's happening, what they want to do, and then do it. Basically.
So when you mean do it, how do you go about sort of healing that sort of stuff? What do you
what do I do? So some of it happens through my body. So like I can pick up on the energy through my body, so I'll feel it within my body, what's happening. So if there's any releasing of any emotions through me, they might come through the other person as well. I might find myself shaking. My body will move into different postures depending on what they're doing. So if they're healing someone and they want them to be lying down, then my energy will start lying back to be held. They'll move my hands into different positions to also, like, so as an example, like, and this is what's coming to mind, if someone's having like an energetic force coming towards an ancestral line, or whether it's another soul obligation or connection of some sort that is now useful, then I'll find that, like, you know, I'll be holding that at bay while we do the healing behind, in order to be able to hold their space around that, and then we'll remove the energy, as an example. There's lots of that happen.
So will you talk to them a lot during the session to find out what's coming from their mind? Yeah.
I'll be saying everything that I see, everything that's happening. I'll be checking in with them. I invite them to say whatever comes up for them. I find that they have pieces to the puzzle as well. So there's things that will come up for them that are helpful. And depending on what's required, it will also be that I'll support them to be able to do things for themselves as well, to be able to build their own, resources, tools, all that sort of stuff. I use some of the tools from Theta, which is like doing downloads and clearing beliefs and stuff like that. A lot of it happens sort of in front of me, and I direct some of it as well as they direct it and let me know what's happening.
Yep.
So yeah.
So it's all channeled, just intuition and.
Yeah.
Have you got any, without obviously mentioning your names, is there any stories or incidences that you've done during the healing sessions that you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, let me see what comes to mind. I try not to share too many details, but I'll just see what I can share, whether it's even from my own work. That's one thing that I am like pretty strict on for myself, generally, confidentiality and privacy. And so okay, so this is for me. Okay, yeah, all right. So this, I will share this frequently, so the person, if they are watching or see this or whatever, they won't know that it's them, because this happens a lot. So someone they had a being on them.
Yep.
Yeah, so that, and I don't know if I'm sharing it actually, but anyway, it's coming to mind, so I'll share it maybe for some reason. So anyway, they had a being on them, and I needed to clear that first before we could get to the underneath work, because it was quite a powerful being. It was a new being that I hadn't seen before. So I cleared it off of them. It took some time. So sometimes these beings, and this was a interdimensional one, so it was quite powerful, and it was very cold as well, and it was sort of like attached to all these different parts within the person's body. So I had to, like, well, we looked at where it was attached, what it was doing at the different places that was attached, so we could take the being off, because sometimes these beings might attach themselves for random reasons, but usually they attach because they've got underneath there, they're blocking something that might not have been time for it to be seen, or there was still agreement underneath there, or there's lessons or something that needed to be understood through that being there and through the removal of it. So as it's removed, we look at piece by piece by piece to work out how we can take that being off and what needs to be healed underneath there and transformed.
So you're saying some of the attachments hide stuff from ourselves? Is it? And so you're saying some negative or not, good or bad, doesn't matter. You say some of them actually doing us a favor by blocking stuff that is not ready to come up.
On a level, yeah. And it's not necessarily a favor in the sense that when some of these beings are attached, they can be highly influential and they can impact us on a great level. But essentially, on some level, we're free to it, or we have a vulnerability there that has allowed them to come in there. And often when that happens, in my experience anyway, it is that they are providing some level of strength or some level of resource that was lost through a trauma or something where our vulnerabilities are. But at the same time, they're also impacting us in a really negative way, or they can be. So, yeah.
So it's sort of like a symbiont circle to a degree, sort of like
can be,
yeah.
I mean, sometimes they can be hardcore and intense, of course.
Okay, what sort of issues have you seen them create in people? To give some of the viewers an idea.
Yeah, so physical pain, sure, is one of them. They can influence mood. So, like, there's, so it could be that you're more reactive than you'd normally be, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Or the twisting of the story in the mind becomes like a little bit more confused and a little bit darker.
Yep.
They can get in between the energetic connections between people, and they can interfere with how people are hearing and understanding each other and the relationship. They can block our gifts. They can block our flow of our energy system, like our chakra flows and our central column. They can disrupt our connection to source. They can disrupt our connection to ourselves and any aspects that we could reach, essentially. They can disrupt. They can be ingrained in multiple lifetimes and past lives. So they hold us to the trauma of other lifetimes because they've been around for such a long time that they're holding that trauma with us. Which can impact us in multiple ways, just like trauma in this lifetime can.
So,
yeah.
Do they stay down timelines, or can they bring trauma from other people they've been attached to in past lives into your life?
Yes. So all those things. So they can go down timelines. They can be within even a soul group and and impacting every single person within that soul group. So within that kind of situation, if I'm working with someone, then I can detach them from that being, but not necessarily the whole soul group. They would all need to come in individually, or there might be a key to be able to unlock it from everyone, kind of thing. It would be an investigation to find that. Yeah, but they can get anywhere, really.
It's sort of more common than people sort of would like to give credit for it, isn't it?
Say that again.
I said it's more common than most people would like to give it credit or know about, really, isn't it?
Well, I think so. Yeah. I mean, having said that, because I have people that I've worked with a few times, and so it's like, clearing a lot of that stuff off. And then the more in touch with and more clear about our infinite being and our internal being, we don't become vulnerable to them either, because we don't need them as much to support our vulnerabilities. And as we more recognize the energy, we can pick up on them early on and shift them off or see what they're there for. I had one that I needed to clear off yesterday. That was it just had switched off all my energy, and it came in last night, and I was just like, oh my God, because I just saw something online, and I was watching it briefly, and then I was like just so compelled to just see this person online, someone I've never before see somewhere, some sort of, don't even know how I landed on that. Anyway, and then I was watching them and thinking, oh, this person looks so familiar, so I found myself almost mesmerized. And from that point, I was just like, oh my God, something has happened. And then I had to switch off, and then I had to sit with this being that had shown up on me, and I didn't know whether it was a psychic attack or whether it was like a being of some sort. And I think it's both, because I understand the past life that I experienced with this random person, and cleared all of that. But then I had to do more today to sort of just reactivate myself. So yeah, they can come. Yeah.
Well, they feed off us as their food, don't they? Energy.
Yeah, I guess they do. I think, yeah. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It could be
something like that.
Yeah, I think it's also just, maybe they do feed off our energy. I don't know. I haven't fully thought about their exact motivations. Yeah.
So, what else can we do with quantum transdimensional healing?
Well, yeah. So, soul retrievals. So, in the sense that most of us know, soul fragments can just be lost along the way. It can also be that we have soul parts that are sitting transdimensionally, and so we can bring those back and reconnect them to our energy, reintegrate them. Along with that, we can receive healings from transdimensional beings that are super powerful, I find, and they will come and provide healing. I've done I've done live group healings through Facebook, and there was one in particular that was an extremely powerful one, and everybody who was there, I could just see their energy. We were sitting in a circle, and then we made our way down to this transdimensional world, and then these three beings came up to greet us, and they gave everyone in the group healing, and then they imparted some wisdom, and I can't remember off the top of my head what that wisdom was, but it was recorded on the live, and they sort of departed from there, and it was just amazing. So that sort of stuff can happen as well on a one-on-one scale, or couples and families even. So you can sort of look at what's happening between the couple, and things like that. So one-on-one for sure, that sort of stuff can happen.
So what's some of the what's some of the most important things that you've learned along your journey?
Some of the most important things is energies. Like, I guess, I lived in a lot of fear for a long time, really, and I think that was like childhood trauma and just life oppressions, social oppressions from the social structures that we have here in existence on Earth. So I lived in a lot of fear for my safety, like really significant fear for a long time. Feelings that I didn't belong here, like, what is this world anyway? Like, it's just some crazy place that here we are. But
Damn straight.
yeah, it's wild, really. Like, what is it? I don't know. But here we are. So yeah, so I think some of the things that I've learned through that is, I mean, not in the same way as it used to. I mean, if I'm like I've been contemplating aging lately, so that's like been a different thing to have some different feelings around. But it's like, other than that, I think fear, like, there's nothing to fear, so to speak. And the belonging aspect, I mean, for me, like, there's multiple parts to all of us, really, in, different planes of the earth, but we're an embodied being as well. So there's a part of us that's human, and so, like, I've learned to start to embrace that human part of me, and feel that sense of belonging here on earth on a level, even though it's a crazy place.
Oh, so you're saying that when we get that disconnection, that feeling is because just the trauma and all that of our belief system, we're pushing that part away, or we just disconnect from
I think that that's not just like trauma. Yes, so it is also getting lost in the lives, getting hooked with different soul agreements and stuff like that, and all the entities and intergalactic beings that can attach to our systems and stuff like that. So it's a whole multiple group of things, I think, that impact levels of fear or belonging, for me anyway.
Yeah.
If that's what you're asking.
And how did you get through that?
Yeah, lots of work, I think.
Lots of work.
Just trusting myself, I think, or getting to trust myself. So it's like, like, I went to see different healers. I'm so grateful for the somatic work that I did, because I think it really got me in tune with my body. So I think, getting in tune with my body really helped with that. And just spiritual growth that I've done over the years, I think, has really helped with that. Yeah.
So has there anything that you've sort of like, is there like a routine or certain practices that you hold really important to your spiritual growth?
To be honest, not really. I mean, for me, it's like, I guess it's, whether it's a routine, I don't know, but I tune into my energy all the time. Like, I just notice when my body feels like something is right for me or when it's not. And so it's kind of like that. And it doesn't always work that way, like, I'm still a human being, of course.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I think that's more what I do, is paying attention to my energy. Yeah.
That makes me think of, like, you go, oh, wait a sec, I'm feeling stomach pain. Oh, wait a sec, I haven't eaten in 6 hours.
Yeah, that might do it. Yeah.
So if you had to go back in to when you first started getting into spirituality, what advice would you give yourself if you went back to the start of your spiritual walk?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I was so lost then. Yeah, what would I say to myself? just to hang in there, I think, you know.
Yep.
I mean, and that it's going to be okay, you know. I mean, I've had some pretty rough patches, really, you know, of moving towards, you know, like the belonging stuff was huge for me, and
Yep.
you know, moving towards suicide, thinking of that sort of stuff, and you know, just not taking care of myself, not really thinking about my boundaries, not really paying any attention to what I needed and things like that. So yeah, I guess the process has happened.
Yep.
Change anything necessarily, but it would have, you know, maybe I'd say take care of your boundaries a little bit more and just notice them, notice the energy.
Yep.
More, but
Do you mean your
hang in there.
energetic? Do you mean your energetic boundaries, or are you talking like boundaries with relational, or just
Yeah, for me it's both. Yeah.
Yeah.
So allowing all that energy to overwhelm me, like and overwhelm my system, but also as well, like just giving my energy away a lot easier than, you know, was good for me.
Yeah. So how, for some of the people in the audience, can you give us examples of giving your energy away?
So that is, I mean, it's probably the usual stuff around boundaries. Like, you know, if people are asking or if I need people, then I just sort of try and take care of their needs rather than, you know, myself. So it's like, you know, if they're wanting me to do something for them or be there for them, or they want me to listen to them, then it's just doing that for them. And that energy needed to be for me to keep my own resources.
Yeah.
The other aspect as well of that, I think, is that part of my or energetic gifts, perhaps, I don't know, or my reading of the energy, I think I offered that to other people rather than holding on to myself. And I don't really know how to explain that, but it's like an energetic exchange happens. And I guess, you know, we can get into soul agreements or psychic attacks and things like that. And surrendering our energy and allowing others to have access to our gifts or our ways of being depletes our energy as well. And it doesn't, and then it's not accessible to us anymore. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it sort of does. But how do we recognize that? How did you recognize that? And how to not give away your energy?
I think it comes back to just knowing your own energy, and I think it comes down to just partly energetic work, because energetic work helps you to understand your energy. It helps you to notice when energy is someone else's, and that's coming into you. It also you get to notice when your energy is being drained, subtly as well as not so subtly. It helps you to know who you are and what your energy is, that you can hold on to that more. I don't know if that's answering the question, because I think it's part of the process. Learning this is part of the process of getting to know yourself, trusting yourself, understanding your own energy. And I did a lot of that through seeing spiritual healers, through having somatic psychotherapy, through doing a lot of energy work, through, that sort of stuff.
So I'm wondering what pointers you could give for energy work to do for the people that are watching, that are just sort of starting out and getting into that field.
To be as energy workers, like providing services, or for their own energy.
Just for their own energy to learn. I think it's like getting to know what your body is trying to tell you. So I said this in one of my lives on my Facebook group, and I'm going to say it again because I think it is a good starting point, is like is getting to know how the energy feels in you when you're saying yes to something and when you're saying no to something. Because
like for me, my energy flows in a certain direction in a certain way when I'm saying yes, and that can be impacted, of course, by entities and things like that. So it's complicated, I guess, but it is also just getting clear on what your energy feels like, whether that's through meditation and through sitting in the stillness, because that's been part of my practice as well. It really gets you in tune with your central column. That's one of the spaces that I feel is really important, is the central column, because that's where the energy flows up through. And when you're receiving, it flows down through. So just even visualizing the central column and seeing the energy flowing up and down through the central column, because that's down to grounding and up to spiritual energy.
Yep.
But it's also, trying to understand your energetic boundary as well. I don't know.
So when you were saying, that was really interesting, when you're saying yes or saying no, taking note of your energy. So you're saying, because I've done some other stuff that I've worked with that, and I can ask questions or something, and I get a light feeling or a heaviness, and you sort of tune into that, and then And I'm sort of wondering, do you mean like when you say yes or say no, if it's the right choice, it will feel the same, regardless if you're saying yes or no? Or is it anything along those sort of lines? Or
what was that last thing? Is there anything?
Well, so if you have to make a choice on something and you say yes, or even on that choice, if you say if you say yes to it, and it's like, okay, yeah, I got that light energy, it was the right choice to make. What I'm saying is, if you sometimes when you say no, do you get that same light feeling like it was the right choice to make?
So if it was the right choice to say no.
Yes. So like in a radar type
thing. Yes. So like to start with, it's kind of like, so should I eat this food? Yes. Or would it be best to go without this food? And then hang on. So if you're saying no to something and that's the right choice and that same light feeling, I would say that you would, because it's the right decision for you. It's just the action of no is something different. It's not so much the energy. The energy attached to the no in that circumstance would be light. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does. It does. But someone in my house bought caramel mud cake, so I don't even know if I want to ask. I might as well just take a slice. It's like, oh, it's too hard because I know what the answer is going to be.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like diet, how important, like diet with feeling energy? Have you got any takes on that?
Yeah. I used to feel that I needed to eat as clean as possibly. And I did. Then my younger sister went through a whole awakening and it was amazing. And through that process, we were just, because I joined her, and so we would just go and eat whatever we wanted and all that sort of stuff. And it was fulfilling the inner child. We were eating lots of chocolate and bodies and all this sort of stuff, which is very unusual for me in lots of ways, but it was fulfilling the soul's need. So for me and food now, things for me now, because I feel like, there are times that I really need to eat something and it's for a soul purpose reason. And so that might be something, that normally I wouldn't eat, or that might be a decision would be normally a no, but that's what I need to eat right now.
So it's like sometimes you just need to spoil yourself. Go.
Definitely. Yeah.
And enjoy that. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much a vegan, but once in a blue moon.
So that froze there for a minute.
Sorry, I just froze. Can you hear me still? You can hear. I can see. I can see you moving.
Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
Lost you there for a moment.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a vegan and try to eat as less processed. I try to cut down, so I've just about got no processed food. But every once in a while, like once a year, I'll go out and I'll get my old favourite. I'll go and get I'll go and get a really hot beef vindaloo or something, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I gotta have it. It's been so long.
Yes. Yeah, and that might be regenerating something in your body, or it might be touching something energetically somewhere.
Yep.
That's how I see that sort of stuff as well. Yeah.
Yeah, well, some people, like I mean, I know that it's a big thing today is just the junk that they put in the food. That it's more about getting away from. I mean, just at least get away from the processed stuff, and the more stuff you can make for yourself.
Yes. Yeah, and that comes from the earth, because that's the vibration of the food as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's possible energetically to put vibration into food in the sense that, if you're eating or drinking something, you can ask that it be of the highest vibration, and all nutritional value can reach you, and anything that is without nutrition can be passed through, if you know what I mean.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I mean, there's some great things, but on the day-to-day we forget about some of that stuff, and we're like, it's like we gotta remember that. I mean, someone was showing me the other day to put the energy back into water before you drink a glass of water, and to make it living.
Yeah.
And it's just you forget to do it. I just forget to do it. Is there anything else you'd like to add? You'd like to say to our viewers?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in a way, like everything is just energy in lots of ways. Like we're vibrating in a physical reality, but energy is residing all through that as well, even within objects and everything like that. Entities as well can, as we know, they can live within spaces and things like that. So there's energies everywhere. But I think we all probably know that. But yeah, I don't know. So working with energy is like, I think it's part of the full picture of well-being, really. Yeah.
So as a healer, can you tell people what you offer for your services? What do they get?
Yeah. So I offer one-on-one sessions, and they can be either an hour, hour and a half, or 2 hours. And I also am running like 6-week one-on-one block of like fast track healing process. Sorry, I'm losing my words. But it's like, so that's a weekly session with me, plus, access throughout the 6 weeks to any questions or any energy healing that I get guided to do throughout that process. Throughout those 6 weeks, I'll attend to, and people can ask questions. So that's like a 6-week program, and it's just a one-on-one thing. I'm in the process of creating something around belonging, and that's mostly because it's been something that has been so significant in my life here, and just what's energetically needed to feel that sense of belonging. I also have my Facebook page, I guess, and my Facebook group, which within that group, I sometimes do a live healing, like a group healing. They're free healings. I might do some energy reading sometimes as well, and just giving general information of my experiences and my understanding of certain topics within that as well. It's a private group, and I made it private because I just want to contain the energy in there. I was doing that on the page where anyone could come and look, but I just feel like the energy was just like skewing off everywhere. So it's a private page, but anyone can join it. So
Yep.
And that's
and so you do the online stuff. Can you do healing sessions? Do they have to be in person, or you do them also over the net?
Yeah, online. And yeah, I do have a space in North Adelaide that I see people face to face. I do find that online or over the phone even works better, in the sense that afterwards a person is in their own home or they're somewhere and they can just integrate, because when you leave a physical environment, then you've got to drive through the car, you've got to, if you're driving, catching the bus or walking or whatever you're doing, it just sort of detracts from the integration after the session. So but I offer both, so it depends on what people would like. But yeah, online.
I know what you mean. I've had plenty of sessions where I've gotten up at the end of the session and I'm like, I can barely walk. I'm just like, it's just a lot of stuff to process.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes.
Yeah, and even just to switch off. Even like I sometimes end sessions and just say, like, I'm just going to leave you to it, and I'm just going to exit the room, so they don't exit the Zoom call, because then they don't even have to talk to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to come out of that space, like sometimes that is appropriate at the end of the session for some people to just sort of not have to cognitively do anything for a little while.
Just integrate the energies and the shift.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So people, you heard it, get out there and get some work done.
Yeah, highly recommend it. Wherever you feel drawn.
Well, I notice a lot of the people that seem to go, make more leeway through their spiritual walk. They're getting work done. Instead of just putting the YouTube video and putting a bit of tape up over your car, you actually take it to a mechanic.
Yeah.
And they go, oh well, that's looking a bit dodgy. You want to fix that before it drops off? And you're like, fix what? I didn't see anything.
Yeah, that's right. Who knows what to look for in a car? Really. But yeah, no, I totally agree. And I feel like it's just going where you're drawn. Like, I would go and see someone once or twice, and then I'm drawn somewhere else. I go there, then I go there. Like, it's just do whatever pulls you and do it, because that's your inner being saying, do this now, please.
And I just see so many people that don't really go out and get the work done, and I see so many people that do go and get the work done, and the difference is just amazing in their growth and their walk and their development. It's just like a must, because we all need healing on some level. Absolutely.
Yes, I agree. And I noticed that in my work. Just in my work, that if I work with someone who's done lots of spiritual work, it's like bam, 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 bam. Everything is right there. Can see everything, can reach everything, can integrate things pretty quickly. For people who are still working out, getting the work done, it's like the energy is very dense. It's harder to see things. You need to clear lots of stuff out the way to get anywhere. So the energy that we carry without doing the work sometimes can be quite dense and thick, and just as what I see.
I got one last question from one of the viewers. I'm curious, how did you become sensitive to energies, or is it just something you're born with? Were you just born with this sense? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I've been a highly sensitive person my whole life, I guess. I would say that, but I don't think that that's the only way to be sensitive to energies. I think it's something that, as we clear our stuff and we can tune into our own energy, we can all pick it up. We're all energetic beings, so it's not a matter of sensitivity as such, or whatever the social construct is around sensitivity, but it's about feeling your own energy and noticing when there's changes there and and tuning into those changes, and that's noticing the energy.
I mean, I must admit, to a degree, it's as I've done energy work and trained, you feel it more than you notice, but you just don't notice it. What is it? If you don't use it, you lose it almost. Like you just gotta do it enough that you start recognizing it to a degree, and it does feel, because I guess because you're more aware to it, you pick it up. You know what to look for. You just get used to it. You're able to know what it is. Because I must admit that, I mean, as an energy worker, you can walk down the street and go like, oh my God, like, what's happening over there? There's, it's dense over there. There's something happening over there, or what are these lights that they've got at the opening of the supermarket, man? They're putting out really bad energy. Like, you start picking that stuff up all the time. Or just you walk past someone and you don't even notice. They go, oh, someone's tense in there. You just sort of start tuning into it, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. You do. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. I found it fascinating. And people, so check out all the links. All the links are in the show notes for Jesse's work, and as he says, he does online. So people, we got viewers all over the world. So go and get some work done. Go and get some work done, people. That's what we need. We need to get some work done. I'm always getting work done. Jesse didn't get this good without getting work done.
I'm still getting work done. I still have a particular I have two spiritual healers that I see when I need to.
Oh, absolutely. Never stop getting work done. It just helps you so much. I can't. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you around. And you're based in Adelaide for the people that don't know. What a great town. What a great town.
Yeah.
It's where all the cool kids live, don't you reckon?
I reckon.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me. This has been awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, see you, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.